You're listening to Blue Collar Takes with your hosts Pat and Ben.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Pat, what's up, man?
Hey, man, what's going on?
Living the dream. Still trying to figure out the effects of the storm last night. So,
Yeah, the storm and man, I think I'm finally better. Like, I apologize, everyone. We've kind of had a little
mhm.
hiatus. I think I got off of our last set of nights, and I slept for maybe the most I've slept all
Down
year.
hard.
I I think I slept 15 plus
Yeah,
hours for
that's
5 days,
you caught a
and
bug there.
yeah, it was crazy, man. Like it came on hard, and
And then after
man,
that, it was just like severe
so.
storm after severe storm after severe storm.
Yeah. Had no power last
Yeah.
night. You got hit by
hmm
lightning.
Yeah, we're still struggling through that. Half my house has power, half doesn't. I'm going through the breaker box trying to figure out what I have to replace.
That's
No
crazy,
bueno.
man. Yeah, not
No, but
good.
I'm not going to pay a $2,500 deductible to replace. I'll do it myself. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So, man, a lot's happened since the last time we casted, right? I mean, the RNC or the DNC kicked off. That was crazy.
Dude, we missed the whole DNC. Not that there was much to
I
talk
mean, it,
about.
it was what we
Uh,
expected, right? I mean, celebrity
yeah, for
packed.
sure.
As hypocritical as it possibly could have been, right?
hmm
Make the
hmm
millionaires make the
hmm
billionaires pay, followed by a millionaire or a billionaire speaking.
Dude,
Like,
dude, how great was that? And who had that clip?
ah,
Who had that clip of like, hey, we don't want to have, oh, it was Jon Stewart.
yeah,
Jon Stewart
John
went after him,
Stewart
remember? He
destroyed them.
just skewered them.
And it's good to see. It's good to see that even their own side is like, listen, you guys are so disingenuous at this point. It's just comedic gold.
Yeah.
And that's what it
Yeah.
is. I mean, how are you going to have a DNC come out and right off the bat they make it as woke as possible? I mean, they were segregating people by
hmm
meetings, by race,
hmm
by ethnicity, by sexual,
Yeah.
identity, by I mean, they like here's a line for you to go into for, white men. Here's a line for white men, women. Here's a line for LGBTQ plus community. Here's a line. I mean, they just went down the
Yeah.
on
It's
top of
crazy.
having
I'm surprised they had that many rooms
it
available at
was
the
it just didn't.
what was the prayer thing? What was the gender
Oh, good
neutral
Lord.
prayer room
Yeah,
or
well
something?
they broke down.
Wasn't they had it was just like pipe and
Yep,
drape,
yep.
right? Like it
It
wasn't
wasn't a
a
room, but
room. It was literally
all,
just
all the
pipes and
bathrooms.
cloth.
Did you hear about that? All the bathrooms
Yeah,
were
we're
gender
gender
neutral. So,
neutral.
all the guys that were trying to go in there, I think it was Mike Lindell was at the DNC and he had a camera crew with him and he's like, okay, well, do I just go in here or what do I do? And he's like, I don't know. So he went in and he checked it out and he came out and he's like, it's as bad as you think it is. So he's like, did you see where they're like women peeing in urinals? And he's like, I didn't look. I just went straight to where I went, just eyes forward. He said it's
Yeah,
most uncomfortable
yeah,
I've ever been. So I mean, yeah, what insane, right? Like, come on.
yeah,
Uh, what was it? Planned Parenthood, the abortion bus right out front, free abortions and
yeah,
vasectomies.
yeah. And
Yeah.
vasectomies. Yep. Hey, don't exclude the
Well,
guys that want
hey,
to make sure they
right.
can't breed. We should have had like three or four of
Yeah.
them buses. The
The
no
no
breeding
breeding bus.
bus.
Yeah. It was a lot. It was a lot going on there. Did you see Matt Walsh got kicked out?
I
That
did
was
see that. I saw that video.
that
That
was
was pretty
priceless.
funny.
And he was just trolling the lady hard and talking about his whiteness and how, he doesn't even want to be when he walks into a room, he wants to stay on the outsides to give everybody of color.
Yeah, he doesn't
He
go to
doesn't
the
go to the
center
center
of
of
the
the room
room.
because he doesn't want to be recognized as a white man. Just insane. And the lady was all about it. She
Yeah,
bought in.
she was
Absolutely.
that lady was into it, but it was a couple of people that are around her that saw
Right.
right through it and was
Right.
like, they
Yeah.
complained.
He passed out pamphlets for Project 2025, and it was see the radical views of Trump visit Project 2025. All these people went and got the real information of Project 2025 that went in instead of just listening to the talking points from the DNC. So I mean,
Yeah.
he did that. There was a lot. Yeah, I just what a shit show. They had Oprah on there, a multi-billionaire doing her
Of
thing.
course, multi-billionaire and the governor or the governor of Illinois,
Yeah,
right? The
Pritzker,
governor
Pritzker.
Pritzker,
Yeah,
Pritzker.
uh, they had a lot.
Yeah, he went on right after they were bashing billionaires, and then he talked about how Donald Trump's not a real billionaire because he's a billionaire and he knows how that is. What the hell was
Right?
that?
Yeah, it's the whole thing was just disingenuous, right? I mean, I there were some videos that came out of it that are just priceless. They just kind of sum up who they are and what they're doing. I was gonna play one. I don't know if I can find it. Let me see here. All right, here we go. This is this is a video that was on C-SPAN, and it's titled "We Show Up." Hold on, gotta go through the commercial here.
Worry about protecting democracy. In this moment, we've got to reimagine it with people that look and love like us at the center. And I think for us right now, it's about reimagining freedom and this American story in a way that is more revolutionary than what our founders actually put down on that little piece of paper, but instead is the type of democracy that is by and for all of the people of this country. That's the opportunity that we have.
So what do you think about what she just said there? They're trying to reimagine democracy to benefit all people. And basically what she's saying is the founding fathers left no space for the far left, right? And that's kind of how the DNC played out the entire way through. It was kind of a circus. I mean, you had so many of these people on the really far left that came out and they just railed against the rich. And then you had on the other side, people that were like the LGBTQ community saying they have no rights. Well, what right don't you have that I have? Right? The whole thing was it was cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, man. It was crazy. I just don't understand. I don't think I will ever understand the mentality that some of these people have. I just don't think that there's any way, and I'm trying not to sound crass or sarcastic, but some of these people truly believe what they are saying. And it's a scary thing because in, reality, it's not true. It's just not true. Right. And so then where does that leave you? If you have somebody that honestly believes what they are feeling is the truth, but it's not, how do you ever come to them and approach them and have an honest dialogue where they're going to be so defensive? Because there's no way I'm going to go away. I'm not going to validate, a fantasy that they have as being true. For you to say that the constitutional rights that I have are not extended to you, how not? Right?
Yeah.
And they don't get it. And the whole freaking thing was set up to either hate billionaires. We need to make the billionaires pay their fair share, or we need rights and we need to basically reorganize the Constitution, and we need to make amends for every wrongdoing that we've ever done in the past. And it's funny to me because here you have the Democrat Party, all the wrongs that were committed in the past were committed by the Democrat Party. It wasn't the Republicans.
The
Republicans are guilty of just not caring to fix things, right? But now you have the Democrats saying that Donald Trump is standing in the way of them fixing every wrong that was done in the past by them, I guess. What? I mean, really, the whole thing was insane. The party's platform seems to be, hey, we're going to let Kamala Harris steal every one of Trump's principles to fix the country that she could have helped fix for the last 4 years. 12 of the last 16 years have been run by Democrats that led us to the point we are. And don't worry, all of those bad things we did with slavery and we did to the Native Americans and we did to everybody, we're going to fix those. But Trump's standing in the way of us fixing those things that we did to you all that time ago. That seems to be the platform they're running on.
It's crazy, isn't it? Like when you when you try to break it down, right? Like just try to break it down. And they don't have any policies out, and they don't want any. Like I can't remember where. I shouldn't even bring it up because I can't remember where I got it from, but it was an article, or it was maybe it was on X, on one of the, but it was from a news organization, and it literally was something about how the congressional Democrats had said they don't want her releasing
Until
any
she's elected,
policies.
yeah.
Like,
I saw the same thing.
what?
Yeah, and I mean, let's just look at this for a second. She's come out and she said right after Trump, well, it was probably like what, a month after Trump, when Trump's like, "Hey, we're gonna kill taxes on tips."
Oh, it was at least
Right?
a
And
month.
she came out and said that's what we're gonna do, and then she went further with it, right? Then she
Well, and then that article about
No,
that.
you
Sorry
hit
to
it.
cut you off, but that article about how the hospitality union in Nevada, when Trump said it, was like, that's just an empty politician in an
Right.
election year,
When
right?
Kamala says it,
And then when Kamala says it, she's like, yeah, this is
Right.
great. Like, we're all about it. Like, it's
insane,
incredible.
insane.
Incredible.
Now the latest is she's tough on crime and she wants a border wall.
Yes,
They went
of
in
course she
day
does.
one and railed against the border wall. In the lead up to the 2020 election, they railed against the border wall and called it divisive
And
and
defunding the
defunding the
police.
police. I mean, now she's all of a sudden this is it's insane. It's insane to think that this person is being serious about this. Like how
Yeah.
can anybody take them seriously? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't know, to be honest.
This
I
whole
don't
thing
know.
has been a circus up to this point, and it's just
Yeah.
I it's if it wasn't for laughter, I'd be crying right now because it's like if they get elected, we are so fucked.
Dude, it's like it's beyond sad. It's like, how is this
It
real
won't.
life?
They're so bad. Their platforms. I sent this message to my brother-in-law. I'm gonna read it to you because he sent me something that was kind of funny, and I sent something back. Basically, he sent stuff about their being called communists and they have to hide everything. And I said, well, yeah, it's a scam. They're scrambling to replace all their voters they can. They're hemorrhaging these voters because people are starting to wake up and find out they're communists. So instead, they offer a ton of stuff like California, like, hey, I'm going to give you $150,000 for a down payment on your house if you're an illegal immigrant. And they open the borders. And the hope is that they can allow, and then they push for all the illegals to vote in elections because that's their push, right? I'm going to open the borders. I'm going to give you a ton of free stuff. I'm going to replace the welfare state and the black communities with the illegal immigration. And I'm going to use you for a voter because everybody realizes our bad policies. You know, everybody sees what we are. And I said, you can't win with your policies and beliefs. And when you do that, if you can't win with them, you just replace them and go with control there. And it's amazing to me because they can't go around and tell everybody their goal is to crush the middle class, reduce the world's population, kill the American dream that we all grew up with, and change it into the globalist ideal that they're pushing for. People might start asking questions if you came out and started saying stuff like that. So what they're doing is they're really just kind of, like you said, they're going to hide all that in the background. They're not going to want any questions asked of Kamala about her 2020 stances, right? When she was trying to win the primary in 2020 to run in 2020, she wanted to defund the police. She wanted to get rid of ICE. She wanted to get rid of the border wall. She wanted to get rid of making illegal immigration a crime.
She said that illegal immigrants are not criminals,
and she wouldn't go
something
after
like that.
them. She wanted a path to amnesty for everybody. I mean, the things that she did and the things that she was about, they were so far left. I mean, they were left of left.
No fracking. I'm trying to think of all the ones that have come up.
Contracts were to be gone.
Yeah,
which Biden did that anyway. And it was so far left that she didn't even get 1% of the primary, not a single delegate. Right. So
yeah. Well, she dropped out. She dropped out before.
There was no way.
Yeah. Well, she was polling at less than 1%.
No way. So then, I mean, you go down the course of what happened, right? You had the Biden debate with Trump. Biden, obviously, his cognitive decline that they've hidden forever. What the media is hidden, Kamala's hidden, his administration is hidden, Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, all the people that are having meetings with Biden, they've all hidden the decline. But they need the money. They can't just go away from the war chest that they've built for his campaign So they can't replace Biden with a candidate that's not Kamala, right? So they
Right.
replace him with Kamala.
Well, but did you see Nancy Pelosi's comments about that? About how Kamala took advantage?
Oh, I did not see this.
Like, yeah, no, she basically came out and was like, when in between, like, Kamala basically took advantage of the situation. Like, how are you? And she never did it herself, right? It was her people. Like, when they started immediately after that debate, they started talking about who will it be. No one mentioned Kamala Harris. No one. And for days. And her people came out and said, I think it's very disrespectful. Like, even though they're standing behind Biden, it's very disrespectful that you're not even mentioning the vice president, right? And so behind the scenes, like the coup that happened, right?
Yeah, I mean
they needed her. They need when he didn't back out, they needed her.
Yeah, it's insane,
and she used it.
It's insane. She saw an opening and she took it, and that's kind of the cutthroat nature of politics, which needs to stop. You know what I mean? We're talking about. I mean, look at where we are right now with Trump, Vance. Now we've got RFK. We've got Gabby or not Gabby, but Tulsi on board. It's kind of the dream team that we were hoping. Vivek is going to be on board.
Yeah, we've been hoping for this team.
We've been calling for this, and I think it's common sense to us.
There's two more that I want to call for now.
Let's hear it.
Since we've been able to manifest this, I think. I want Manchin.
Yep. Okay.
I want Manchin.
If
and
he
I want
does
Sinema.
that is a giant power move to pull. Because I honestly think what he's trying to do is he's trying to push the Democrat Party out of the system. I think what he's
he's trying to get back to the 90s.
He's trying
Democrats.
to reinvent it and reshape it to what it used to be. Because all these people used to be Democrats. All of them.
Yes.
But when the Democrat, every one of them. But when the Democrat took the far left shift, they were like, I can't rep this party anymore. And Donald Trump, since the 70s and 80s, has talked about how much he loves this country. Now, the 1990s Democrat, the 1980s Democrat, was a conservative Democrat that understood and stood by their morality and their principles. And you just aren't getting that right now. The party's been hijacked by the far left. And that far left, we've talked about it in previous podcasts, but you have factions in that far left. You have the LGBTQ, you've got Hamas, you've got the Warhawks, you've got all these people that are. Is
that crazy to say? You've got Hamas.
Yeah.
The Hamas wing of the Democratic Party.
But it
just
it goes even further. You have communists, you have socialists, you have, and honestly, fascists now in the party. You have so much in the party on the far left that we've said they're going to do this infighting and attack themselves, and they're starting to do that. Their voting base is starting to wake up on the left. It's slow. It's slow, but they're starting to wake up and they're starting to ask questions. Well, why is this person going to the right? Why is this person going to the right? And you're seeing it with Brexit. You're seeing it with other campaigns that are being organized to push and distance themselves from the far left. But it seems right now, Trump, RFK, Tulsi, Vivek, all these people that are coming in, if you get Manchin and Sinema that come in and come over and they're honest politicians that just couldn't deal with the crap that was going on.
Well, they got forced out.
I mean, they got pushed, no doubt. They wouldn't.
I mean,
they couldn't.
They were pushed, but they were done dealing with it.
They were done having to explain to their constituents why they were voting the way they were voting. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's got to be so hard when you go back home that you've got to explain to a bunch of coal miners. You got to explain to somebody, hey, my party over here on the far left is saying they're going to kill coal. I understand that's your entire livelihood, and I represent you. I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm getting beat over the head. I could go independent, but I'm not going to win an election because they're just going to prop a bunch of people up. So I don't know what you want me to do. I think I'm just going to be done with this because this isn't the party I want to be a part of. You know what I mean? Yeah, that's kind of what's happening in multiple places in this party. It's gone so far to the left And again, it's the globalist agenda. This is what is taking, but it's not just here. This is in the United Kingdom. It's in Australia. They're way ahead of where the left of our party is. So you can kind of see where they are, where we're going to go.
Where they're going, where they're
And
headed.
none of it's pretty. None of it's good. You know what I mean?
Right.
Where it
Right.
goes from here is if they win, we're going to continue to slip into a more, I hesitate to use the word tyrannical, but
Mhm.
we're getting to that point. I mean, Kamala's like, hey, we're going to do price controls. Hey, we're going to get rid of your health care. Heck yes, I'm going to get rid of that health care. She hasn't come out and said this now, but again, like you said, they're not telling us what her policies are. They're throwing out
Mhm.
3 or 4 that are Trump policies that she's now adopted because that's winning policies. She realizes it. They have nothing to stand on. Everything from before 2020 that she said was like, oh my God. So I'm assuming those are her real policies, right?
Well, and she said in the interview, and I haven't been able to watch the interview yet. Like I said, we didn't have power last night. And just with work and everything, but she's from some of the clips, she said like, because they challenged her a little bit, like it was pretty soft, but about her positions changing, and she said her values have not changed. So what the hell are we talking about?
Well, to me, that
How can your positions change and your values didn't? So essentially, you're admitting, you're just saying that
yeah,
now.
I mean, that's it.
My values have not changed.
That is a signal to the far left, right?
Mm-hmm.
Vote for me. My values have not
Mm-hmm.
changed. I'm going to tell the people in the middle what they need to hear to vote for me because they absolutely hate Trump. And then
Right.
I'm going to do what we said we were going to do because I have not changed as a person, right? That's the
Yeah.
reason you have Tim
Yeah.
Walz as a running mate. Walz is as far left a governor
Mm-hmm.
who can placate that middle group as you could get. I mean, you can't get a Gavin Newsom.
Well, Gavin Newsom's
Right.
too well known,
That's exactly it.
right? People don't really know. People don't really know Walls, and he's as far left, if not worse
Right.
than
And
Newsom.
he's under the radar.
So,
Right.
right. So they can paint him
They
as a
paint Coach
coach,
Walz. Right.
right?
And
Yep.
that's
Coach Walls.
exactly their ploy. That's their plan. Stolen valor, Coach Walz, but he's kind of their backstop. You know what I'm saying? And they're still signaling to the far left, hey, don't abandon us. We're on your team. You're playing for us. My values haven't changed. So that does not surprise me. I mean, that's the typical, and to be honest, that's every politician I've ever seen before Trump. I'm going to
Yeah.
tell you what I need to tell you to get elected, do none of it, or maybe one small thing of it. And then I'm going to do whatever I do to fall in line and be establishment. And where's that gotten us? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We talked about it.
I mean, Trump, Tulsi, and
Right.
RFK.
Yeah, I mean,
Right?
people are pissed off. They're so mad. They're starting to. You can just see it on X, where there's a lot of people on the left that are coming out that are. You can tell they're far left, and they're coming out and saying stuff to people. And now even middle left is coming against them, and the responses now are just, it's insane. You're watching the left fall apart, and they're doing it because they really had no candidates that were worthy of stepping in. The people that were as sly and as smooth and as debonair as Barack Obama, they're no longer in the party. They have none of them. They've all been exposed over the last 8 years for the stuff they've said and done. And honestly, they put their own stake in the heart of all of their stuff with we're gonna fund police. We're not gonna give a chance to explain themselves. We're gonna completely jump on this bandwagon to mobilize against police. And now you have like I said, Kamala's coming out. She's gonna be tough on crime. This is the tough on crime Kamala that bailed people out for burning down freaking Minneapolis. You know what I mean? Like, how much more Looney Tune can we get here? I don't understand it. I don't know how.
I don't either.
I want you to picture this. Kamala off a teleprompter. Kamala without a well-known, well-rehearsed stump speech. You've seen how she talks. She has no idea what she's saying. You know what I mean? Space is vast, and the vastness of space is vast. And we need to think about the vastness of space, because in the vastness of space, we see that there's opportunities to be a part of that space. That sounds like something a Kamala would say off teleprompter, where you're like, okay.
Yeah.
Now imagine that person going into a meeting to discuss what's going to happen with Vladimir Putin trying to get a peace deal with maybe Hamas and Netanyahu, maybe who knows what it is, but she's going to go into a room with these people. What the hell is she going to bring to the table that she can keep us out of a growing conflict in any region? She can't. No one, whoever the power player is in that room is going to look at her and be like, here's the deal. Shut the fuck up. And you're going to listen to me. She can't. You can't. If the brain power behind you are the people that you're surrounding yourself with, well, they've done that too. Look at where the Democrat Party is. Where do you see brain power in that party right now? Where's the shining light, the shining star in that party? Find one. You fucking can't. You can't. They put all of their eggs in the basket of Obama, and Obama, for whether you liked him or not, he was a star. You like him or not, he was a fucking star. He united a lot of that party, and they rallied around him. He also fractured a lot of the country into different groups on purpose, in an effort to push where they're trying to get now. But he was it. They put all their eggs in that basket, and they didn't develop anybody else underneath him. I honestly think the Democrats thought they were going to get 8 years out of Clinton and 8 years out of Obama. And when it didn't work out that way, they're like, oh shit, now what do we do? Oh, well, I got it. Let's get Joe Biden in there. Well, Joe Biden's a potato and he's suffering from cognitive decline. Well, we can get him in there for 4 years. Let's get him in there and then we'll go from there. Right. So we'll see what we can do afterwards. Yeah. Well, we all know now that Biden's not running this country. I mean, you'd be a moron to say that, yeah, he's making decisions behind the curtain. He can't. He doesn't have the ability to. I respect the man in certain areas for what it takes a certain personality to want to step into that kind of a furnace and try to be there for the country and do the things he's done for the country. We also know that he's a giant piece of human filth for the stuff he's done for himself, the deals he's made and everything else. I still respect anybody that wants to jump in and serve the nation. I still do. I don't agree with him politically. I don't agree with him morally, and I don't like him as a human being. He's filth. Borderline, some of the things that he's done is, I go against it. But even with all that said, he still jumped in there and did what he did, and it was of no fault of his own that he couldn't run a second time. They saw it coming, right? So now they're like, oh, we have Joe Biden. He can't run a second time. They're like, we got to try. We got to try. We need 4 more years out of this guy to find somebody else. And if they honestly thought ahead of Joe Biden running a second time that they had a candidate worthy of going, they would have had him step down then. They never would have backed him up on it. You know what I mean?
Well, do you think I'm still on the fence on? No, I agree with everything you said. I just think that for them, right? Like we're not going to be able to see the star in the Democrat Party, right? Like other than Obama, but he's got that charismatic way. Like he can just suck you in with his
I'll
speeches.
be honest, I enjoyed watching Obama speak. I didn't.
He's a very good speaker.
I still enjoy it.
You don't agree with it, but you still watch him.
You admire the man for what he can do in a room with a crowd. You know, it's a skill.
It's a hell of a skill.
A master at it.
Yep. So other than like that, like you and I are never going to be able to see. And I have the same problem with Republicans, and I think you do as well. We're not going to see the people that they think are stars coming up. I think part of the biggest problem was Joe wanted to run again, and no one else wanted to get in that fight and damage their chances for next time.
You're screwed there too, right? Because how are you going to say this guy's the sitting president and he wants to run again, but we're not going to back you up? You know what I mean?
Correct.
But in reality,
correct. So no one wanted to hurt their next chance, right? Like that next batch of politicians that you're going to see like 30 of them on the stage. I think that's
the mistake that they made in this party. I think it's the biggest mistake the Democrats made was because they can't. The smart play to me would have been to say, all right, Joe, you had 4 years. You really fucked it up. Now we're going to give somebody else a chance. And the DNC should have come out and said, hey, listen, the country's not going the direction we wanted it to. But the honest truth is, to them, it is going the way they want it to because they're so far left. You look at what happened at the DNC; they are far left, right? So you're right. It would have hurt their chances to then take to this point, the most far left president with the most far left policies that we ever had, and say, yeah, you got to come out. We got to replace you with somebody else. I mean, it would have hurt their chances. But if this is the party of the old, the smart play should have been like, hey, listen, we got to tell the country this isn't working. We got to break up. This relationship's over. We're putting somebody else in that can do better. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you needed to have that hard
Yeah.
conversation before 90 days before
Right.
the election.
And I mean, like, they had to string them along. They've got nobody. And you're right. You're right. We're not going to be able to see it. Nobody saw Obama before. Nobody knew he was a rising star.
No,
he came out of nowhere.
not at all. Not at all. That's how
Right.
you find them, right? Those 30-person
Right.
debates.
And they have to have something where they're going to. You have to start, if you're in that party, you're at the leadership of the party and the Republican Party, you have to start finding your candidate, finding the people, even if they're not politicians right now, you have to start finding them and saying, hey,
Yes.
listen,
Yes.
let's prepare you for 4 years from now or 8 years from now or 12 years from now.
Yep.
We need you.
100%. Yep.
And it doesn't seem like they did it. I mean, they don't have anybody. I think that's the biggest problem for them, right? Is they're not, they have nobody that can be seen right now. And they've got like Mark Cubans and they've got, billionaire.
Yeah, but Mark Cuban's not going to do it.
And the problem is,
he's not going to do what Trump did.
You're not going to have anybody on the business side of things for your party that can jump in right now that's wealthy, because you've just vilified all the wealthy people that have been in the country. You're saying they don't pay their fair share of taxes, when the reality is they pay more taxes than any of us in the middle class. So, people just don't get it. They've been snowed, they've been cowed, and the policies are so bad. And now the DNC was the personification of what the party is, and it is insane to the left. I mean, this lady's basically telling you in that video I played was that piece of paper, on that piece of paper. Well, that piece of paper is the reason we are where we are. It gave you the right to get where you are as a person, like if you didn't have that First Amendment to say what you're saying, you'd be yanked out of there. And I don't know, if we go the way you want to go into communism or socialism, you'd be in a gulag. You wouldn't be able to say the things you want to say. Oh.
And it's crazy to say, but look at what's going on in the UK right now.
Right? I mean, it's
20 months in jail for a Facebook
post or a freaking X post. Just
not even
bad.
It's just about
nothing
what's
bad,
going
right?
on.
You're just pointing out the obvious, that there's a problem with immigration and you don't agree with it.
It's your opinion.
You're being imprisoned for your opinion. Thought police, right? That's Orwellian.
Yeah.
You have thought police. We're to the point now where it's crazy to me that fiction is becoming nonfiction.
Man, it's getting
scary. And I'm sitting here and I'm just like, well, you saw me the other day at work. I'm looking up things that I think I'm gonna need. I need a better pair of knots. I need an IR laser. I need to own the night. I need to figure out how to not get killed by a drone. This crap feels like it's coming. Like it's insane. I don't know how we are going to get back to normalcy when it feels like, and I'm going to say it, and people aren't going to like it, but it feels like there is a mental issue with the Democrat Party that's just not being talked about. I had an article and I'm trying to find it.
Well, I think was that the one we talked about?
Did we talk about it?
The 54% of people had been diagnosed with a mental illness. So it was an
article, and I have the numbers. There was an article about they questioned age groups from 18 to 36, 37 to 65, and then 65 and above, and they went down the spectrum. If you're left or you're Democrat, Independent, and Republican, if you've ever been diagnosed by a doctor with a mental health condition. And it was 63% of the 18 to 36-year-olds of the Democrat Party that have been diagnosed with some sort of mental condition. That could be depression, it can be anxiety, it can be whatever, right? But in every group they asked, whether it was Democrats, Independents, or Republicans, you know what the common trend was? Republicans were far lower in being diagnosed with a mental condition than the people on the far left, than the people on the left, right? So the farther left you went as you crossed over to the independents, they were almost on par with Republicans. Percentage points here and there. 2%, I think, was the closest. But then you went to the left of that, and then the numbers just jumped, just skyrocketed. And they broke it down between men and women, and it didn't matter if it was men or women. Everything on the left was higher than independent. Everything on the left was higher than Republican. And it's kind of telling. That was an actual poll that they did. They they polled, I think it was 15,000 people, and that's a large number for a poll.
My goodness.
There's a lot of other things too. It's just where we are and what we have right now is insane. The American dream is absolutely dying. And here's another. I know you love polls. I hate them, but I know you like them.
I don't like them. I think it's just a good way to
Quantify
see
things.
to quantify.
So
I'm a numbers guy. I'd like to see
Let me throw this one at you.
numbers.
The Daily Caller did one, right? And they're talking about the American dream. Okay. 12 years ago, 2,501 person, so 2,501 people were asked if they thought the American dream was dead or dying. Okay. 33% of all asked said they thought the American dream was dead or dying. Just 33%. I say just. They asked in July, 1,502 of the same people if they thought the American dream was dying. 68% said it was dead. And as a reason they gave, because they're seeing that home ownership in the younger generations is almost impossible. They're saying that
it is
to keep up with paying a mortgage if you're anywhere in the newer generations while dealing with inflation and the interest rates at the grocery stores and at the gas pumps make it almost impossible to believe that the American dream isn't dead for the middle class. 68%. That's insane. That's the political left, right? That's when we went into, I just want to point this out. Interest rates under Trump were at 3% on a mortgage. They're now at 7% under Biden. Grocery prices went up 40% with Biden. Now he'll blame it on Corona. They're trying everything they can to say, oh, it was the disruption in the supply chain that's caused this. That is not how inflation is caused. That is not how inflation is caused. When you're not, the fact that you can't bounce a check in the government where you just print more money to pay down what you have causes inflation, right? More dollar bills out there chasing the same amount of goods and services and commodities causes inflation. That's why we have inflation. It's disingenuous. It goes on and on and on. Now we have Kamala out there saying she's going to put a 25% tax on unrealized gains.
Unrealized gains. Like, I was talking to my wife. I was like, do you know what that means? We have like $80,000 in equity in the house. You know, we bought with proceeds from another house, right? So I was like,
well, think
all
about
of that
for a second. You bought that house so you sell a house, whatever you get out of that you've paid your previous house off, whatever you get on top of what you paid, your payoff amount was. It's an unrealized gain. You roll that over to your next house. You put that down as a down payment, right? If you did it at the right time, the market has since gone up. My house, I bought it for $434,000. It's now worth $550,000, and I'm carrying $80,000 on top of that. 25% of that will be lost to Kamala's plan.
Just gone. And if it goes down next year, if it drops to there's a correction, you don't get that back.
You don't get it back. It's already gone, right? There's no path for you. Now, she does say it's going to be for people who are making over $100 million in an unrealized gain. 100 million, right? Now, that's the ploy, right? Now, we have people at our work that we work with that are like, well, she's only doing it to rich people. Yeah, that's what they said about the income tax. In was it 1913 the income tax was started, right? 99% of the country didn't have to pay income tax. How's that working out for us now?
Yeah.
The problem is that it'll start out with somebody at $100 million.
Yeah, but those people can leave.
They can leave.
And they
have the money to shelter their money. They will leave. That
Yes.
money will go elsewhere. Now then what happens?
Mhm.
Well, we still need that money, right? The thing that's going to
Mhm.
happen is when you start to give Democrats money, they're going to spend it as fast as they get it. And when they spend it as fast as they get it, they need more money. So then
Mhm.
now it's anybody who makes 500 or 10 million. And then it's anybody who makes 1 million. And then it's anybody who makes 500,000. And then it's 150,000. So then all of
Mhm.
us are going to have to pay. That's how it always
Mhm.
starts. It always starts with they have a plan, but their plan is never to balance the budget and cut spending and to fix the deficit. Their plan is to
Right.
make it manageable, like Yellen said. Well, the debt right now is manageable. It's manageable because we're not in the red yet. Well, in the red yet doesn't work for me. I don't want to be in the red. I want to be looking to stay in the black because we're not in the
Mhm.
black. We are in the red. We're just not overboard. We're not underwater yet.
Mhm.
And it's insane. 25% tax. And
Yeah.
just think about this, right? Say you're like me. You have a property. Say I have 80 acres somewhere, right? And I
Mhm.
paid $80,000 for that property when I bought it. Basically 1,000 an acre. It's paid off, right? Now let's say I go and sell that for $360,000. 25% of what I made over top of what I paid for that property is going to get taxed. So $208,000 will be taxed at 25%. That's
Yeah.
$70,000 that I will lose on a property that I already paid for, that I
Mhm.
already paid taxes on. I still pay
Mhm.
taxes on it. So you're going to take $70,000 off the sale of my property, not including what I have to pay a realtor, right? So
Yeah.
you've taxed me on my property. I've paid a realtor for their services. And now because you're going to put a 25% gain for a 25% tax on unrealized gains, I'm going to lose $70,000 to the federal government for what? So you can send it to fucking Ukraine? So for
Yeah.
what? So you can give it to illegal immigrants to have a $150,000 fucking mortgage down payment?
Yep. Yep.
No. That's this is getting ridiculous. It's getting
Mhm.
ridiculous. And this is the DNC. This is the Democrat Party. This is who they are.
Yeah.
Anybody with money is a villain to them. You know what I mean? They don't even see, they don't even understand. What do you suppose happens if you start taxing rich people at rates they're talking about taxing them? Pay
They
they
leave.
leave. Pay your fair share. Oh, we will. Okay, well, I'm just gonna leave over here. It was like
Mhm.
who was it? What's his name? He was on CNN. He was an anchor on CNN. He got kicked out. His brother was the governor of New York.
Como.
Cuomo, thank you. He was at the DNC.
Chris.
Chris,
Chris
Chris,
Como.
yeah, thank you. And for the first time ever, I saw this guy be real. I saw this guy be
Mhm.
legit in a video. He was like, "I want you to look up at these suites up there at the DNC." He said, "Down here, they're talking about they're going to tax the rich." He said, "Up there in those suites, each one of those suites start at $500,000 a suite, up to $1.5 million to $2 million a suite." He said, "Those people are looking
Yeah.
down from up there on high, and these people down here are saying they're going to tax the rich, and those people up there are like, hey, no, we're the ones that pay for everything. You're not going to tax us." It's completely
Mhm.
disingenuous. Their
Mhm.
whole shtick is disingenuous. So yeah, Kamala is telling everybody on the left, "Hey, my morals haven't changed. I'm still going to be that person." And it's getting a little I won't say dangerous, but it's getting a little obvious. Don't you think?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like
Yeah. I think so too.
you can't continue to say this. We know what's at least those of us who are paying attention, we know what's going on. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's hot trash. If you have to do an interview and you have to bring your vice president pick with you to babysit you in an interview with the press, so you can deflect and you guys can laugh and he can jump in and start the thought for you to finish. So that's what he's brought in for. That's why they're doing this interview together. You know what I mean? If she's starting
Yeah.
to look like an idiot, he's going to jump in and bring her back on track. And she can't take questions. How do you defend what your previous stances were? You're telling me in 4 years you've completely changed your belief on the entire system? Well, in that 4 years, why
Mhm.
didn't you help fix it? You were the vice president. In the Senate, you could have voted the other way. Why didn't you fix
Yeah.
it? Why didn't you voted along with it? Why didn't you fix any of it? Bidenomics has us where we are. You could have voted against it. Why'd you vote for it? You wanted to make a name for yourself. That's where you make the name for yourself. You could have made a huge splash. Why didn't you do it? And they'll never ask her that. I mean, it's Operation Shield to the fullest. They're never going to ask her that, right? But Trump's got a point. JD's pointed out. Tulsi's pointed out. Vivek's pointed out. You've had the last 4 years to do something. Your party's had 12 of the last 16 years to do something. Why haven't you done it? And they can't. What do you got?
Yeah. I don't have anything for that. I was just looking up trying to find some of the quotes from the RFK thing. His speech. Did you watch his speech?
Yeah. Yeah.
It was really good. It was really good.
I will tell you, you and I have talked a lot about vaccines with our kids, right? We've talked a lot about the stuff we're seeing come out of vaccines. We've seen people in our own orbit that have passed away that have been vaccinated that you don't know one way or another if it's part of it or not. But we've seen it. We've seen that in our own orbits. And to have RFK come out and break it down like he did and talk about the amount of health issues and problems that have skyrocketed since these vaccinations have been brought out by big pharma, and how really it's kind of it feels like maybe slowly we're being poisoned for benefit, poisoned for profit, right? It's kind of what he was getting to.
It certainly was.
To see him come out and lay that on the table. I'm voting Trump this time around. If RFK runs the next time around, I'm voting for RFK. I'm glad they're together, and I'm hoping that RFK.
He said he's not running next time around because it'd be too old.
First off, I don't buy that. Have that man take his shirt off. That motherfucker is jacked.
Yeah,
that man is in shape. So that man, I think, could run until he's 90. The way he looks.
Yeah, maybe.
Bro, that man, like, he took his shirt off, and I was like, damn, I want to look like you when I get to that age. You look like a brick shit house.
Yeah.
I watched that guy on video doing pull-ups like a couple weeks ago, 2-3 weeks ago, and you're watching him do pull-ups, and you're like, this guy is not having any issues that I can see doing pull-ups like he is. They do like 15, 20 pull-ups and like, yeah, whatever. Impressive. I hope he changes his mind, because I would love to see him. I would love to see somebody that is that way, that spirited, and has that mindset. If not in the Oval Office, somewhere close to it. We need that. We need to start holding these companies accountable for what they're doing to people. Starting with the COVID vaccine, it was all bullshit. It was all bullshit.
Yeah.
People took that vaccine thinking that they were going to be safe because they were told by the media, they were told by the manufacturers, the drug companies, no, it's 100% effective and it's safe. Everybody got it.
By the politicians.
By the politicians. People need to be held accountable. You know how many people took that thinking they would be safe and walked around and that ended up catching COVID and dying? I can tell you at my wife's work, a lot of the people who are at the elderly side of things, the oldest side of things, are like, yeah, fuck that. I don't want that anymore. Why would I take that? It just made me sick. It's not going to do anything. I still get sick even when I take it. It would be nice to see drug manufacturing companies be held accountable for what they've done and then move forward to have an honest body come in and assess these vaccines that they're pushing at kids so that kids can go to school to see, first of all, do they have a benefit? Second of all, are they needed? Third of all, what is the detriment to these kids? We've talked about this repeatedly. Our fucking children are off limits. My fault for not being intelligent enough or being snowed back in the day to believe that drug companies were doing this to help. I know differently now. It's a business. They're doing this for their bottom line. How do you know this? Because how do I know this? Why do I believe this? Cancer's been out there forever and a day. They could cure cancer, but there's no freaking cure there's no money in a cure. It's a one-time thing. The money is in constant treatment of cancer of all these people. And that came straight from the mouth, excuse me, in a video of one of the people in the manufacturer, in one of the big pharma manufacturing companies that's a whistleblower. That was a video that came out about 1.5 years ago. There's no money in a cure. The money's in the treatment. The only time there's money in a cure is like what they just did with COVID, right?
Right.
and it didn't even work. So I want to see that. That's an RFK thing that he was talking about, and I couldn't agree more with what he had said. So you had said it in the past. You hope that he gets in and he goes after him. You hope that Trump brings him in, and I think you might be right, man. I think they might put him in a position where he can actually do something.
I'm not so sure. I think he gets a cabinet level position.
Mhm.
I'd like to see him get.
What would you
Attorney
like to
General.
see him do with it?
Go after him.
Just gloves off.
But not just them. I want to see him go after everybody. 100%. I want to see him go after the CIA. I want to see him go after everyone.
Did you
all the assassination stuff? Now that Trump said that he's going to start an assassination deal,
something's not adding up
for all of them.
Something's not adding up.
Not just for him, but like for
JFK,
for his dad, his uncle, everything.
Something's not adding up, and we know the CIA kind of has something to do with it. It feels like it. Even this.
Well, it's like that. It's like that comedian said. Listen, I'm not saying America did this, but if America were to assassinate somebody,
this is exactly
kind of look like this.
Right. And he was talking about Trump's. I'm not saying the government did this, but if the government was trying to do this,
the government,
it would be like this. It'd be very inefficient.
It looked.
And there's
just
more
like
coming
this.
out about this Matthew Crooks stuff, where he's got, like we talked about a long time ago, but he's got encrypted accounts in foreign countries. He was training at a range where Department of Homeland Security agents trained and CIA operatives trained. There's cell phone pings from somebody who goes into an FBI building that meet with him at his house or near his house on multiple occasions. This kid gets out there, and there's somehow he misses everything and he screws up. But this very much seems like, when you break this down, kind of like a JFK conspiracy. You know what I mean? And the fact that the FOIA requests are not being, FBI is not turning over anything to anyone who's asking for information. They're giving you the information they want. Well, what's the problem with that? I would trust the FBI if this were 30 years ago, if this was 9/11 or pre 9/11. I would trust them. I would have had some sort of trust in them. Do you trust the FBI now?
No, and I don't think
I guess I
really
didn't
have.
know enough not to. You know what I mean? 30 years ago, I would have looked at the FBI and I would have thought, just like I did about the Secret Service before I had a chance to work with them, I would have thought that the FBI is the premier entity of law enforcement on the planet. That's what movies told me, right? That's what, like the History Channel told me. That's what, textbooks told me, that the FBI does only good, completely morally grounded, good people. They're only working. And let's be honest, I think the foot soldier of the FBI probably is that.
Yes, it's the political positions.
Right. But I didn't have the knowledge to ever think against that. And again, the way I grew up, my mom and dad were very different. My dad was a multiple tour Vietnam vet, and he questioned everything. My mom it was unpatriotic to question anything about your government. And I think that's because my dad was a multiple tour Vietnam vet. So she had to put up with all the protesters that were protesting against Vietnam.
Sure.
You know what I mean? So she was listening to that hardline position.
That makes sense. That makes sense.
You know what I'm saying? She was listening to that hardline position of, you don't question the government. The government's only doing good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think I was brought up that way. Don't question. It's unpatriotic to question. Well, there's nothing more patriotic than to hold your government accountable. That's the definition of being patriotic, is keeping the tabs on government to make sure that they're doing exactly what they're supposed to be doing. That's found in, that little piece of paper that gal was talking about that they have to completely get rid of and reshape. Well, that little piece of paper is the entire foundation of our nation, right? So that is the most patriotic thing, is to hold politicians accountable, starting with that document and then moving forward into every other law and bill they create. I don't know, man. It's crazy. Yeah, I don't trust the FBI to do an investigation on anything they say about this assassination attempt.
Yeah.
And you're saying you probably never did have trust in the FBI.
Well, like you said, there's a difference between the local field people, right? And the people that are running it. I never had faith in the people running it. Just we learned in high school, like, how it started and how he blackmailed people and the most powerful man in Washington, all that stuff. For me, sorry, Alexa's talking to me. Yeah, the FBI just tuned in.
The FBI's listening,
So
bro.
this was fun while it lasted. Yeah, they're great. They're great. Thank
What I
you
was
for
saying
all
about
of
the
your
FBI is they
service.
are the greatest bunch of people.
Yeah, that was really weirdly timed. Yeah, okay. No, I'm lost. I'm lost, bro. All of a sudden
The
Alexa's
look
like,
on
what do
your
you want me
face
to
right now
say? And I was
is
like,
priceless.
what? What?
The
Okay.
look on your face was priceless.
Yeah. So I'm pro FBI now, but I don't know. I don't even know where I was, to be honest. Oh yeah, just
You were
how
talking about in school. You
J.
learned
Edgar
from the
Hoover
beginning.
got everybody. He blackmailed everyone. He had files on
Yeah,
everybody. Like you can't like how can
I'll
you
be honest.
the agency's been like that forever. And then Comey basically did the
Right.
same shit.
I never learned that in high school.
Yes.
Comey was, yeah, he was like a reincarnation. I I never learned that in high school. I didn't learn
Hmm.
that until I got to the military when I had other kids that had learned it. And you're on guard tours or whatever, um, guard duty, sitting on a post somewhere, or you're sitting in a cop, you're up on a 240 overwatching
Yeah.
something, and these like
Yeah.
midnight talks that we would have,
Yeah.
and I'm like, no shit, that happened. And then I got interested, and thank
Hmm.
God I had some of these kids because that got me going, that got me started. And then I was like a sponge after
Yeah.
that. I was really interested in all the stuff I never got taught. You know what I mean?
What and go back from that. Like think about all the stuff that
Right.
they don't
Yeah.
know to teach, right?
Hmm.
Like that's what's out there. What's
Yeah.
not out
I'll be
there?
honest. It kind of what I found in the military is what you were taught depended on what state you came from. You know what I mean? If it was
Mhm.
unless you were in a school that was more
Sure.
conservative in nature, you weren't getting conservative principles. You were getting kind of like the baseline, but you were never going to get anything in public school that was, unpatriotic. You know what I mean? And like I said,
Hmm.
a lot of people was unpatriotic to question your government. So you were only getting this really heavy pro narrative that the government and government entities were good. Um,
Hmm.
I can remember I had a civics teacher talking about taxes and what caused the Revolutionary War. And we had a kid ask because, taxation without representation was a giant issue that caused us to want to be free, right? And so
Hmm.
one of the kids in
Hmm.
our class asked, "Well, how come we're paying so much taxes now and nobody's mad about it?" And the civics teacher said, "Well, that's just what we have to do to be a responsible citizen." Can you imagine if that was said to
Hmm.
everybody, if that was the thought during the revolution? Well, we're doing it just because
Hmm.
we have to be a responsible citizen.
Would
Yeah,
we have a British accent or would we be
right.
talking similar
Right.
to
I mean,
this now?
where would it go? And that's kind of the thing that you're starting to see where people are waking up. And I just had somebody text me the other day who listens to us, and he said the difference is there's a difference between being woke and awake. And the people that are awake are calling out the people that are woke. Woke is just a term for somebody who's so asleep, so cowed to the left, so tied down to this crazy philosophy. And some of them honestly have mental problems. They have mental issues. Um, I'm not trying to be judgmental, but some of them are in that category where they believe that the fantasy they're seeing is reality for the rest of us. And it's not. You have
Mhm.
exactly the same rights that I do. Your First Amendment, if you didn't have it, if you didn't think you could be who you were, you already wouldn't be who you are. You're already dressing the way you want to dress, calling yourself what you want to call yourself. And I have
Right.
no problem with it. I'll call you whatever you want me
Right.
to. That's just me being a respectful person to you.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? I have
Right.
no problems with that. I have no problems being around anyone. Um, the problem I have is when you're going to tell me that my way of life has to change because you want my way of life to change.
Hmm.
Your constitutional
No.
rights exist so long as mine aren't trampled on. When that happens, well, then we're going to have a conversation, and then one of our rights is true and one is not. You don't have the ability to take away my
Hmm.
constitutional right to make yours better, to give you something that you want outside of what we both share together already. And that's where we're starting to see this turn.
Hmm.
UK's done it. Australia's done it. We talked in the past. Australia put people in COVID camps. It started out like, oh, we're just here so you
Yeah.
can get healthy, and then it was you can't leave. You can't leave until you test correctly, and if you don't listen and follow our rules, even though you don't have COVID, you're staying here until we say you can leave. People on paddle boards in the middle of the freaking ocean getting run down by helicopters and boats and being arrested for paddleboarding by themselves in an ocean. What are you gonna fucking infect a sea turtle? Like what are you doing? And that's when you give the government a little bit, they take a lot. Give an inch, take a mile. And that's what's happening now with the Biden administration, right? You see it at the border, right? Kamala's like, oh, I want a border wall. Well, you've had 4 years. You and Joe could have got together since you've known the guy has no cognitive ability. You could have just done it yourself as the vice president and had him fucking sign off on it. And we could be instituting those policies that you say are going to fix America. You just didn't do it, right? But what's interesting to me, and I want to read this because, again, it's where we are and it's where things are, or it's where we're going. So Just the News reported this, which this blows my mind. So border crossings since July were down 35% from the month before. And they're basically saying Biden's executive action that he put in place, which was pretty much a Trump policy from the beginning, lowered the border crossings, right?
Yeah. Well, no, that executive action was where it was limited, right?
Trump
wasn't
did that
like
before.
some bullshit.
Trump
like
did
once
that before,
it got over,
and Obama did it even before that.
I thought his wasn't. I thought his wasn't limited to the number of crossings per day on an average 7 day.
Trump's was a lesser number, but it was. And one of the things that Trump did one of the things that Biden did that Trump didn't was, remember, Biden exempted certain countries. So there was people that could still come in, and most of the people that could still come in were the countries that they're coming from, right? So he limited certain countries and not others.
Okay. Okay.
So 35% down from the last month over the last, so 35% down from July from June. Okay, but that doesn't matter because under the last 4 years, 10.5 illegals have crossed and been captured and let into the country. 10.5 million. Now, if that's what they're telling you is the number, the real number has got to be, I mean, this is the government, for goodness sakes. It's got to be twice, if not 3 times that.
Well, wasn't it Trump that
Trump
said
came
20?
Out and said there's 20 million.
And no one really fought that number. But there wasn't.
Here's the thing that really gets me in this. So he said they come out and they say 10.5 million illegals have crossed the border, with what they say is another 2 million gotaways. That's the federal government telling us this. 2 million gotaways.
Yeah,
do you think there's more gotaways than people that were caught?
Well, if they couldn't tell them, hey, stop. Oh no, they got away. I don't think they can.
Wow.
I think that's just coming in illegally, right? Like gotaways are people that they tried to catch. Is it?
I guess I don't know.
That's how I take it.
I think the gotaways to me is probably either they tried to catch or they never caught them. They never saw them.
Or they saw them on like a camera or
sense.
something and they just couldn't get there.
I don't know. I don't know how
is that what that is?
The article doesn't break that down.
I don't either. It seems to me it'd be something along the lines of somebody they were able to see and not able to apprehend.
2 million seems small.
Because they got away.
Right? I mean, that's got to be just what you know. That has to be. Because you have to come up with a number. You honestly don't know a number. You're just guessing. So, yes, that would make sense that there's 2 million that got away, that they say.
Because they have all sorts of like fixed cameras on
so that number has to be low. So you have 10.5. So let's just say the number's right. 12.5 million illegals in our country right now over the last 4 years. That's bigger than the state of Minnesota.
Mm-hmm.
8 million.
Is there 8 million people in Minnesota?
So you basically have a whole other state of people that just showed up, right?
Right. And what do we have? 8? We have 10? Do we have 10 electoral votes?
Yeah, I mean, you're reshaping the electoral map by putting these people.
Yes.
Now, that's why I brought this up. Does the sanctuary cities and the sanctuary states make sense now? I mean, does the whole popular vote argument make sense now? The more people you add to your party, if you can't reshape the electoral map, the more people you pack into these places in sanctuary cities and states, Now the popular vote, if you get 51% of the popular vote, hey, I'm the president, instead of having an electoral vote, so everybody's votes are equal.
Mm-hmm.
Now all the stuff is starting to make sense that they're
Mm-hmm.
trying to do and they're trying to push, right? Now the $150,000 by Gavin Newsom for first time home buyers, if you're an illegal, that makes sense. You open the borders and you bring them all in. Um, that's that's insane to me. That's insane to me that this is where we're getting to. We can't we can't do this another 4 years. If we're gonna have 25 million illegals, we're gonna have 2 states worth of people in another 4 years under Kamala if she does the same thing.
Yeah.
We can't afford it. We can't afford the free handouts where we're at right now. We're already not going to have Social Security waiting for us when we get older. The welfare program is eventually going to collapse. And then you've kept people so stagnant in this welfare program as the Democrat Party already that once this system
Mm-hmm.
collapses, you've killed them. You've killed them because they're going to have no choice but to resort to all out crime to feed themselves if there's no more money coming in. They don't have jobs. They have no tangible skills that you've taught them. They sit and they collect welfare. And I'm not talking about black people. I'm talking about all people that are just sitting on welfare. You've killed them. They have no choice but to either rely on the system or forcibly take what they need after the system collapses, right? Um,
Yeah.
so that's dangerous. You can't add another states or 2 states worth of people on top of that. 25 million people in over 8 years is going to be a giant problem, not just for voting rolls, not just for, uh, electoral purposes, but it's going to be a problem. And if you convert those
Yeah.
25 million people into a far left movement and bring them to the far left of your party like you have already, that's another giant problem. I got another
Mm-hmm.
stat for you. This is again in just the news. They looked at 113 incidents of attacks against Jews, anti-Semitic attacks against Jews. And they broke it down to figure out who attacked people with anti-Semitic attacks that were violent the most. Would you care to venture a guess of who attacked Jewish people the most with anti-Semitic attacks over the last 4 years?
The Hamas wing of
You
the
would think that
Democratic
that would be
Party.
it, and you're right. That probably is where it's coming from, but I want you to listen to this. 57% of the 113 incidents were carried out by far leftists, in comparison to 22% of those people were carried out by Islamists. You would think that Islamists, they hate Jewish people, would be carrying out the majority of the
Mm-hmm.
attacks against the Jewish people. Going on from that, 8.9% were carried out against far right neo-Nazi type individuals. So I want you to think about that. The far left, the Democrat Party, who's calling everybody on the right Nazis, attacking Jewish people at 50% more than anybody who's even a neo-Nazi. It's
It's
insane.
crazy.
This is where we are in this country right now, where that's what I'm talking about. Their fantasies
Mm-hmm.
out there that they have of like what they believe is real is it. How do you not understand? They have mental disorders, bro. Like they have to.
Mm-hmm.
So not all,
Mm-hmm.
but there's a portion, and I don't blame the portion that does have mental disorders. I'm starting to blame those that don't, that are just going along with it. And
Right.
we've talked about it in the past. They're going along with it because they hate Trump.
Mm-hmm.
That Trump derangement syndrome. You sent me I laughed at that commercial. That was
That was
yeah, dude,
Nicole
she did
Shanahan.
that was awesome. We
Yeah.
should play that. If you haven't seen that commercial, you need to see it. And
Yeah, she was she was also on the Part of the
yeah,
Problem
yeah.
podcast with
You told me a
comic
little
Dave
bit about
Smith.
this.
It was such a good episode.
Hit it.
Her
First of
her
all, tell who
talking
she is
just
because I don't know that everybody is tracking who she really is.
yeah, so she was the person that was running as RFK's vice president. She is a Democrat, big dollar, right? She's a millionaire, maybe a billionaire. I'm not sure she's a billionaire, but she's like a tech person. Um, she's an analytics person. So she talked about how she got into it, um, how she got on with RFK, and she ran a bunch of simulations. And it was just that she felt like, when Biden was in, that if they were allowed on the debate stage, they both felt like they could win. And I think they could have. I think they could
if they
have.
would have been allowed.
But so then she was on with Dave Smith, the Part of the Problem podcast, once before, and she talked about that kind of stuff then. This last time was about the endorsement, right? So it happened, they recorded it like Wednesday or Thursday this last week, and it was posted Thursday. And it was less than a week since the endorsement. And they talked about like how it was for her. And she's like, it's not about endorsing Donald Trump. He's like, her biggest thing was 2 hours after he was nearly assassinated, he called RFK and wanted to talk to him about the childhood health stuff that RFK was talking about. And he wanted information from him. He wants to address that. And she's like, for that to be like, you almost just died. And that's what you're concerned about.
Right.
Like, that was for her, that was a change. Right. And so, like, it's not necessarily like, yeah, we're best friends now, but it's, hey, we're really focused on this.
Right.
Let's do this together. It's like, I had mentioned to you earlier, it's like coalition building. When you see the parliaments everywhere, sides joining forces to pick a prime minister that is going to work on the things that they agree about, right? Until that, whatever. That's kind of how this
it feels like it's a foot in the door. And I think what you're going to see, if this works, and what I hope you see, if this works, if they get elected, if Trump gets elected and he puts RFK in the party, in an administration spot, and RFK has her alongside, and you get a lot of other people, I think what we've been talking about, I think, is what we're going to get out of this. I think you're going to have a Dan Bongino, either the head of the Secret Service or the director of the FBI, and they're going to clean house. I think you're going to have a lot of people that Trump really trusted come back.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you're actually going to see things start to shift. I mean, you just had Mark Zuckerberg come out and say, yeah, Biden and Harris, they did pressure me to censor information. These people are starting to be like, okay, well, maybe even people like Zuckerberg are starting to understand that, oh, well, I was played, or I don't know. Maybe it's.
So that I'm going to play this clip. It's a little bit longer. It's from that podcast. It's Nicole Shanahan and Dave Smith talking about the MEGA and the MAHA, the Make America Healthy Again, and the Trump Unity Party, right? So he told them, like, let's start this unity party that we're talking about. So, now I just lost it. God.
It's hard, man. It's because we have all this stuff that we want to do and want to say, and then it's like there, and we have to search for it. And
well, I literally just had to hit play, and then like Twitter like updated.
It's because Alexa's listening to you.
Yeah, it's the FBI. They're like, fuck this guy.
It was all padded. I had nothing to do with it.
It was my idea. Ben had nothing to do with it. Yeah, you can take me. It's fine. I can't even find it. That's awesome. Now. I got this one, but I don't think it's the same. All right, let me look for Dave Smith now. See if he's got it. Here you go. All right, so this isn't the same one, but I think this one's this is what I was talking about.
When I was told, and this is something a lot of people don't know, and Bobby shared this with Tucker recently, Trump called Bobby hours after he was almost assassinated. And the thing he wanted to talk about was childhood health. And And you don't just call somebody, think about the first calls you're going to make, Dave, after you're almost shot dead and someone behind you is dead.
Yeah.
I mean, that is life-changing. And if your head goes to, I want to do the right thing with my remaining time on this earth, and amongst that is children's health, that is a powerful thing. So I think Trump was moved to a place of higher integrity. And I want to believe this. Look, I've received also hundreds of letters from people saying that we've been duped, but I've got to look at the sequence of events as critically and clearly as possible. And that's what we've done is we've looked at the totality of these interactions, and our goal is to use the leverage that we have to make sure that health is center stage. And I'll tell you, nobody could have expected the kind of reception Trump gave Bobby on Friday, this past Friday. No one. That was pretty special.
So that was that one. But she goes on, and you really should look it up and play it. It's part of the Problem podcast with Nicole Shanahan, or as his guest. She goes on to talk about what she thought MAGA was and what MAGA really is, like what she's seeing now. It was really good. The same thing though, the RFK speech, if you guys have not seen it, go watch it. It's one of the best political speeches.
You want to see somebody, I think, that cares about people. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Cares about doing good. It's definitely this guy. Not that I don't think Trump cares about doing good. I think Trump sees our nation as failing, and he wants to fix that. I think Bobby sees our nation as endangering people, and he wants to fix that.
Yeah, I think they're looking at different things, right? Like it's not one against the other.
You need this. I look at this like I put everything in a battle space, right? We have admirals in the Navy, we have generals in the military, in the Army and the Marine side of things, and we have generals running things in Air Force commanders, whatever, right? It's not just one guy making all the decisions. If you were to go to the Pentagon, everybody at the top of the food chain is sitting around a table. Mm-hmm. You might have one guy that's in charge of an entire theater. You might be a Marine, you might be in the Army, he might whatever. But all of these generals, admirals, all of these people are they're at the table, and they're all trying to figure out how to solve the conflict the best they can. And they all have their areas that they can solve the conflict. Trump's a businessman. Bobby's a lifelong advocate of public health and of the environment, right?
Yeah.
So that's a huge ordeal we have to face.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm not saying climate change is the existential threat that's out there, but anyone like me or yourself, we love the outdoors.
Yeah. Well,
of course, I want to see that taken care of.
And what Bobby was, the environment that he was dealing with was the industrial dumping of chemicals into the river.
Real pollution.
Real stuff. Right. I mean, the Hudson, he cleaned up the Hudson. He's responsible for that.
The cancer rates that came out of this, the stuff that he was touching,
yes,
that he was trying to fix, were insane. And that's what led him to the public health side.
Yep.
So you need different people. You need a Vivek, you need a Tulsi, you need a Bobby, you need all of these people in these places because the deep state isn't just one faceted. It's not just
right. We've talked about it.
The deep state is fucking Medusa. I mean, there's a million heads to the snake that you got to cut off all at the same time. You got to go after them in incremental steps and handle them. And when Trump came in the first time, I think he did not fully understand what he was getting into, and that members of the deep state were sitting right next to him, that were playing him for the fool, that were doing whatever.
Yep.
And I think he learned as he went. And when the pandemic finally hit, I think it pointed out a lot of the deep state players that he had surrounded himself with. And this is a good thing. This is a very good thing for the Trump campaign. It's a very good thing for the country if this is honest and it's legit, and we are going to get these two teamed up together, and we're going to get finally people that are going after the establishment, finally people that are going after the deep state. And and he's going to put people in power like I was talking about. They're talking about Dan Bongino for the director of the FBI.
Mm-hmm.
Dan Bongino is one of the most real dudes I've ever seen in my friggin' life, or I've ever heard in my life. This guy is one of those that I believe will come in at the top level and will fix the problem at the appointed positions below him with reckless abandon. He won't care.
Mm-hmm.
He does not care.
Mm-hmm.
The give a fucks that he has for the type of corruption that's out there, there's none to be given.
Yeah.
He's legit, he's loyal, he's patriotic, and what I want people to do, what I want to see in people, even though it's a really difficult decision to do the right thing, it's going to make your life harder, and it's really easy to just go the wrong path and do the wrong thing because that's your easiest way out.
Mm-hmm.
I want them to choose the hard right over the easy wrong. Well, I'll say this. This is what we need going forward. There's no doubt that we need something has to change in Washington, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's obvious to everyone who's looking in from the outside that it's not going to change overnight.
Yeah.
You just can't go in and get rid of all the freaking war hawks, get rid of the Hamas side of the party, get rid of all the far left crazies, get rid of the uniparty self-interest, the insider trading. You're just not going to get rid of it overnight.
No.
You need somebody to come in and start plucking off the money at the top and fixing things and exposing things. I think once you bring, like you said, declassify fucking everything.
Everything that you can. I mean, you say that everything that you can. I'm talking, don't do anything that's going to put us in national security. Not all the bullshit that gets pegged as national security. Actual national security.
Listen, I don't need to know if you have a fucking alien spaceship.
Correct. Yeah,
I don't care.
Yep. That's fine.
I don't care.
If you're trying to develop that tech, fine. I don't care. But if it's just we don't want you to know there's aliens there.
If the CIA helped kill frickin' JFK, I need to know that as an American.
Yep.
Because that CIA is gone.
Yep.
We are abolishing that program, that group. We'll make a new group with people that are actually
with
decent
controls,
people with controls in place. Right. If the FBI is involved in stuff, covering stuff up and doing stuff, gone. We'll put a new group in place, a new federal law enforcement agency in place with controls, right? The American people have been left out of the equation for long enough, and it's all been done in the interest of national security, right? What does that mean? Well, the interest of national security for them means we're too stupid to understand what the complex nature of the things they're trying to do. Which, is it that, or is it that you can't get away with the shit you want to get away with because people with families don't want you going somewhere killing innocent people? People be
very upset if they found out what you were doing.
Right. And that's the point, right? I don't need you to send some fucking 25-year-old kid to a foreign country to kill another 25-year-old kid for the benefit of me back here if it really doesn't matter in the national security apparatus, right? If what you're doing is allowing a company like Raytheon to make more money because you have stock in that company and you're sending this 24-year-old kid over to a foreign country who's probably going to kill multiple people who are innocent, I've got a giant problem with that. Every American has a giant problem with that.
Yeah.
That's the shit we need to start having be brought back, the accountability. And then again, we've talked about it repeatedly, the insider trading, where you're deciding your policies based off of what's going to make you the most money. I got a giant problem with that. I want all of that exposed. I want all of it exposed. You talk an awful lot on the left in that party, and I'm talking about anybody on the left.
Yeah.
About rectifying the wrongs that have been done. Okay, let's bring it all out there. Show me all the wrongs. I want all the information declassified. And if we have to burn this entire form of government down to rebuild, we'll do it. We have no choice at this point. We have no choice. We'll do it. Let's not leave politicians in place that are dirty, that are corrupt, that are bought and paid for. I don't care if they're Republican. I don't care. Lindsey Graham, if you're bought and paid for, get the fuck out.
Oh, there's no doubt he is.
Right. And I don't care. Get the fuck out. There's no place for you here.
Yep.
And the left too. And on the side of that, if you're an AOC and the far left and you're true and not bought and not paid for and you're legit doing what you think is right, leave her there.
Mhm.
Don't touch her.
Mhm.
She is doing what she thinks is right.
Mhm.
I want the corruption gone. I
Yeah.
want the bought and paid for gone.
Yep.
I want the terrible things that are being done in the name of national security gone. I want the spying on American citizens to fucking stop.
Yeah.
I want freedom to return. And I'm not willing to compromise on that. And again, leave the people that are on the far, far left alone. If they are honestly good people thinking they are doing good things
Mhm.
and they have not done anything wrong or
Mhm.
corrupt,
Mhm.
they get to stay.
Yeah.
They get to stay.
Yeah.
That's it. I think he comes in and he does that and he wakes a lot of people up. I mean, can you imagine
I
if he
think with
declassed?
that coalition of people, right?
Yeah,
With
absolutely.
Tulsi, with Vivek, with RFK. I mean, just man, I hope
Can
so.
you imagine?
It'd be incredible.
It would be incredible. Can you imagine he comes in and he drops information on all these people
Yeah.
and they're like, well, what about AOC? And
Mhm.
he's like, she's done nothing wrong.
Yeah.
We found nothing wrong with what she's done.
Yeah.
Can you imagine the people that are in support of AOC? They're like, wait, so you're going to get rid of this guy because he's done this and this, but you're leaving her? And
Mhm.
her ideals are crazier than what this guy's is?
Mhm.
And he comes back and says, yeah, that's what freedom is. That's what being patriotic is. You could handle having somebody who disagrees with you and wants to take the country a different direction.
Yeah.
At some point, you'll find common ground to agree on.
Yeah.
AOC was out there going hard against the Secret Service when Trump almost got assassinated.
Yeah.
You can come to common agreement, right? You
Mhm.
can come to common ground.
Mhm.
That is a huge, powerful move for the nation. Get rid of the corrupt and leave anybody who's not in place.
Mhm.
It's that simple. It's that simple.
Yeah.
And it starts with declassifying things. I mean, if once people start to see that if there is CIA involvement with the JFK assassination, they're going to be like, what the hell?
Mhm.
Why? We need a new investigation. Once people see all these other things that are taking place and they see that, hey, the government has been corrupt and they've been covering it for decades, for, almost a century, maybe it starts moving things in the right direction.
Yeah. We can hope.
You have to. That's
Yep.
all we can do. That's
Yeah.
all we can do at this point is hope, right?
That's
We
right.
have to.
Yeah.
Or it just gets crazier.
Mhm.
And at some point, there's going to be a straw that breaks the camel's back at some point. Financially, fiscally, whatever. Morally, economically, socially. It feels like there's a lot of bales of hay stacked up on
Yeah.
the back in each category.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
So before we get to that point where we just implode, maybe we try something different and just actually try to hold people accountable for what they've done wrong.
Mhm.
And I know anybody would ever listen to that on the far left would be like, well, Donald Trump's a felon. Donald Trump's this, he's done this and this. I'm not talking about actually weaponizing the federal government to go after a political candidate. I'm talking about actually doing a real audit of what the hell is going on and declassifying the bullshit that
Yeah.
we've gotten into.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. It's a sad kind of thing, but I'm more hopeful right now
I am too.
than I was before the
Just a week
assassination.
ago.
Yeah, absolutely. It's big. Like, I think a lot of people are like us that wanted to see RFK, that wanted to
Mhm.
see Tulsi, that wanted to
Mhm.
see Vivek, that wanted to see all these people start falling in line and start coalescing around each other.
Yeah.
We're starting to see it.
Yeah.
Um,
Hopefully they can keep building at it. I don't think he'll get the two that I want, but
well,
he's made a lot of very hard comments about not being able to side with Trump because of democracy. So I don't think he'll ever get there, but maybe cinema will.
yeah, I mean,
I don't think he needs both. I don't think he needs either of them, but it'd just be nice to see
I would like to see the more of the power base built
Yeah.
to get more people
I
from
mean,
both
they said there's
sides.
going to be more Democrats coming out, so let's see what they've got.
I hope so.
I think RFK said that.
I hope so. I hope we have something going on where these people can work together and show the country that we can work together.
Mm-hmm.
We can't keep the polar opposite sides.
No,
like each
we
side's
can't keep doing
diabolically
this.
opposed. Yeah.
Yeah.
One half of the country thinks that rich people are evil and need to be gotten rid of, and anybody who supports Trump or MAGA is a Nazi, and the other half thinks that anybody who's on the far left is trying to change our ways, our way of life fundamentally, and they need to be get rid of. And I don't. The truth is usually in between, not always, right? I mean, it's somewhere in between. I think the true lifeblood of what this country is right now, where everybody is somewhere in the middle. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And I'll use one of our listeners. He'll know this immediately, but he sent me some pictures. He went to his retirement party and he's like, I bet you'd be shocked to see this. And he sent me a picture. And one of the good friends that he has that came out to his retirement party is a trans woman.
Mm-hmm.
Huge conservative. They're buddies, they're friends. And I see nothing weird or wrong or problematic with that.
Mm-hmm.
But again, this individual is about as patriotic as you can get, diehard military supporter, loves guns and the Second Amendment, loves the First Amendment, understands the Constitution and what it needs, but probably politically aligns conservatively to the middle. And I think that's where most of us are.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I can be friends with anyone, no matter who you are or what you do, as long as you're a good person.
100%.
Right?
Yeah. 100% agree with you.
And that's what America should be. You know what I'm saying? We need to get back to that.
Yeah.
And not just be like, oh, you're this? Well, I can't. No, get away from me. Oh, you believe in this? Yeah, I'm sorry. No, get away from me.
Mm-hmm.
At times, there were people who left politics out of the conversation at the dinner table and didn't judge their family members based off of their political beliefs. We need to go back to that. We need to go back to, you can believe what you want to believe. I'll believe what I want to believe,
mm-hmm.
and leave it at that.
Yeah.
And I think this might be a step in that direction. I think it might be a step in the direction of stopping this deep state apparatus that seeks to divide and just benefit themselves. You know what I mean?
Yeah. All right. I think maybe we should wrap up here.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
I think it's a good note to end on.
Yeah. Yeah, it was some good stuff. There's some good things in there.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, after RFK came over and said what he said, and like you said, one of the most amazing political speeches that I've seen. Happy to have him on this side.
Yeah.
And I am hopeful, putting faith in God that this plan is divinely inspired. I'm hoping that we get a little bit more out of this than what either of us could possibly imagine. I mean, we've called the shots so far.
Mm-hmm.
I'm hoping that true good comes out of this.
Yeah,
you know
me too.
I mean?
Me too.
Well, everybody, I guess if you're following along, thanks for joining in. We're sorry about the hiatus, but life happens.
Yeah.
And going forward, let's just see what we can dig up and push in the right direction, eh?
Yeah. Yeah. Follow us on our social media pages, our website, bluecollartakes.com, and spread it around, let people know.
Yeah. Let's help push this thing along and start bringing this place back to what it should be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Sounds good.
All right. Well, thanks for joining, everybody, and we'll catch you on the next one.
All right. Thanks, everyone.